Still to me a mystery. I think there was some political motive behind it. I think that the British government at that time wanted me out of the States for reasons of their own. And that was one way of doing it.
That was the motivation to become a full-time writer?
Yes, it was a very, if you like, it's a kind of negative motive. I'd already published a couple of books, but I saw it as a sort of gentlemanly hobby, you know, something you could do in your spare time. When I was given this year to live and had no money, and there was the prospect of leaving behind an impecunious widow, then I had to get down to writing. I wrote, I think, 5.5 novels in that year, and a certain amount of journalism, a couple of television plays. It felt fine. You know, I felt that I was really doing something at last, and I survived, and have still survived, and may survive a little longer.
I certainly hope so. Why do you feel that the British government wanted you out?
Well, I think it was partly because my first wife, who was Welsh and very fiery, she's now dead, said something unforgivable to the Duke of Edinburgh, the consort of our Queen, who was visiting Brunei at the time. She said something she shouldn't have said. I won't repeat it over the air because it was totally obscene. And I saw the frowns of the British resident and the rest of his staff, and I felt, right, you know, they're going to be vindictive. They're going to get me out somehow. I was also fairly closely allied at that time to the opposition party. Was writing for their little newspaper. And,
which was the opposition party?
The opposition party was a revolutionary party that wanted to oust the Sultan and take over the state and own the oil for themselves. They didn't succeed. And indeed, it was only I had a purely friendly relation with the leader, a man called Azahari. But it was assumed by the British that I was dangerous, which I am in some ways, I suppose. All writers are dangerous.
Well, you're still out of Britain. Do you come under any criticism from fellow Britons for not living in England?
Yes, that always happens, as you know, but I had good reasons for leaving England. They had nothing to do with trying to evade taxation, because no author can evade taxation. You get taxed wherever you're published, you see.
But not to the degree that Britain taxes.
Well, Britain isn't the worst of the taxers. I mean, the worst, the Scandinavian countries are by far the worst. They're really draconic. I don't think America has anything to grumble about compared with Scandinavia or even Britain. But I felt that England, although it has a great literature, doesn't really like its writers. If I was able to work in a country like France or Italy, there would be more respect for the vocation. And I would have felt that I was doing something valuable. Whereas in England, I always felt that people regarded me as lazy, not doing a real job. You know, when you get out there and work instead of sitting at a typewriter all day long. I'm afraid this is also the American attitude. The Americans don't like their writers much either.
Well, they don't think that writers work.
No, they don't. But of course, the hardest work of all, as you know, is the hardest work of the lot.
Sure, but people who stay home all day, no leave their houses, that's not working.
Have a cup of coffee when they feel like it.
That's right.
I know. That's the way you go. I have a glass of whiskey for that matter.
Monte Carlo seems like an unusual place to relocate.
Monte Carlo, Monaco.
Monaco.
Yeah, well, yeah, Monte Carlo is right, but yes, it is. But I'm only there by accident because I lived in Malta, where censorship was so gross that it was impossible to do any writing. To do any reviewing, you couldn't read books, couldn't get books. Then my wife was Italian, we went to Italy, and there my son was going to be kidnapped. So we got over the border pretty quickly and settled in the next state, which happens to be Monaco. You've got to live somewhere, but it doesn't matter too much where you live. Sure. I've always been tempted to come back here, you know. Always been tempted to become an American author, but I probably left it too late. Should probably die by the Mediterranean. Not by the Hudson.
Why would you want to become an American author?
Because, I mean, America is an extension of my own country, let's be honest. I mean, America grew out of a rejection of British hypocrisy and British suppression, oppression, and the like. I mean, this is a fact. I've no shame about disparaging aspects of my own country in America, because America is a living disparagement of what Britain used to stand for. Otherwise it wouldn't exist. In 1620, the Mayflower would never have sailed if these people weren't being persecuted.
Well, if that's the case, why is it that Britons have such contempt for American intellectuality? And why is it that they characterize Americans in such a vicious way?
I don't think this is true. This used to be true, say, in about 1850, in magazines like, the humorous magazine Punch in England, which still goes on. Jonathan, and John Bull, this perpetual wrangle
I don't know. I watch Benny Hill on television.
I don't think it's really true. If you want to see real British venom or British bile, I mean, this is normally directed against the French, not against whether we like it or not, the British and the Americans are the same people. We share the same language.
Well, I don't think Britons have a venom against Americans. I just think they satirize us. They make fun.
Well, of course, it's
they stereotype us.
Yes, of course. Well, I mean, you do the same with us. To you, the Englishman is a man with a bowler hat and an umbrella. I've never seen a bowler hat in England, not for many years. I've seen umbrellas, of course. The stereotypical Briton is, the man with the clipped accent, a jolly good old chap.
Colonel Blimp
type, who's long gone, but, the typical English accent is to be found up in Liverpool with the Beatles. And the London accent is just something that belongs to the dying ruling class. We all have these stereotypes, we can't help it. But I don't think the British are all that willing to stereotype the Americans either. We're too much influenced by the Americans. And Britain can be regarded as almost an outpost of America.
You we're almost out of time, but you're a jazz pianist and you're a composer.
I have been a jazz pianist in my time. I think my fingers are becoming a little stiff now, but yes, I have played in a combo, as we say, and composed music. Yes, I still do that. But I've got to write also.
That's music must be your second love.
Well, I hope when I've written my 30th novel that I can get down to what I really want to do. That is the composition of an opera about Sigmund Freud. Which I think is a marvelous idea when you come to think of it.
Or H.L. Mencken.
Or Freud, because the orchestra can serve to symbolize the unconscious. Wonderful idea.
What kind of schedule do you set for yourself? You have an enormous output of writing.
Well, I'm a lazy person. H.G. Wells, who had an even bigger output, said that he was the fact that he wrote so much was proof that he was a lazy man. He couldn't just bother to get up from the chair as he was sitting down. He might as well write. It is possible, I think, when you reach a certain stage in your evolution as a writer, to get your day's work done before breakfast and have the rest of the day to yourself. I think if you write 1,000 words a day, 365,000 words a year. It sounds a lot, but it's a very, very moderate sort of...
You say you're a lazy writer. Well, maybe you're right. Writers are inherently lazy. They never get out of the chairs, never leave their houses, and get a cup of coffee.
We're drunks, and we smoke too much, and all the rest of it.
No, writers don't drink, don't smoke.
So they tell me, yeah.
Anthony Burgess, we've spent about half an hour. It's not nearly long enough to talk to you. I could go on, and I know you have other places to go, but it's really been a birthday treat for me having you here. I appreciate it. I've wanted to talk to you for many years, and last I had my chance, and I hope that you do become an American writer. We could do this more often.
Thank you very much, Don. And again, a very happy birthday, and, don't get too drunk tonight.
I'll try not to.